Yes, that is a man stapling fake leaves to a tree. And yes, these are Chinese work crews rolling down fake leaves and fake camo netting over barren, destroyed mountains to make them look green and natural again. I know some environmentalists who would move mountains to save the environment. But in China, why move mountains when you can simply paint them? I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of tired of getting my news from the same old sources. I mean, seriously, Clippy, no, I don't want to know what's new in the world today. Before I started using Morning Brew, I honestly would just kind of turn my phone on and go into my social media apps and see whatever popped up first. So how Morning Brew changes all of this is it's a free daily newsletter that comes directly to your inbox, and it gets you up to speed on business, finance, and tech in just 5 minutes, so you can stop wasting all your time browsing all these sites. Tell Clippy to shut up and just get on with it. The best part of all of this is that it's 100% completely free. Simply put in your email address, answer a couple of questions so they can tailor your experience, and bam, you'll receive a consolidated, distilled just for you newsfeed right to your email inbox every day. Simply go to morningbrewdaily.com/SerpentZA to sign up. Link is in the description below. And now, back to the show. A number of years ago, I was shocked to my core when I saw in China the local, municipality or the local town painting the brown grass green. I'm talking on an industrial scale here. I was there and they had these workers and they pulled out their little sprayer guns and they had a truck and everything and they painted the grass green. It smelt of chemicals, it smelt disgusting, and I was really blown away. I was like thinking to myself, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. Usually if grass is not green and it's brown, well, it means that it's not getting enough water, maybe not enough sunshine, maybe not enough nutrients or fertilizer, the soil's bad. Why would anyone spray paint the grass green? Now, before anyone jumps down my throat saying that, oh, this happens elsewhere in the world, yes. During research for this video, I of course figured out that many places paint the grass green. I'm talking about golf courses, places like Disneyland. If they've got a brown patch, they've got a special kind of a grass paint, for lack of a better word. It's supposed to be a kind of an organic dye that doesn't damage the grass itself, but it makes it green. In California, during drought times, they've got companies that can come paint your lawn for you. I understand that this is not a new thing, and it makes sense because China would have had to get the idea from somewhere. The difference is that in China, they're not using organic dyes or some kind of nutrient. They're using oil paint and spray paint and things like that. And it's not just the grass that they're painting. They paint trees. They paint mountains. Well, pretty much anything. They paint rocks in a quarry. And I have to explain to you why this happens. It's not like all of a sudden China's decided that green is a better aesthetic for their mountain rock faces or something like that. And I'll tell you the first time I remember really finding out about this phenomenon. And that was around about 2007. I remember reading in the news in China because you know what? Chinese news used to be a lot more capable of actually criticizing some of the bad moves of the government or the local governments back in the day. Of course, that's impossible now. They may not criticize the government, but this was 2007, you know, still the good years in China. So anyway, I remember reading in the news that in Yunnan, there was a mountain that had been quarried for a number of years. Of course, it was a big eyesore. And there was a big directive from the central government at that time to start to enact these environmental programs. And usually how this works, this is always how it works in China, is the central government puts a directive. They're like, okay, now we have to care for the environment and we're going to give you monetary incentives. So in other words, if you can turn your local city into a green city or an environmentally, healthy city, you get some more cash from the local government, from the central government, that kind of thing. So what they decided in all their wisdom was, well, we can't make this look good because it's a barefaced quarry. It looks terrible. We've destroyed this mountain. It looks awful. What we'll do is we'll just paint it green to make it look natural. And they spent a huge amount of money, something around along the lines of 500,000 RMB at the time. I remember because it was in the article. So that would have been about 60, 70,000 US dollars at the time to paint this, well, mountain green. And the locals were like, what the hell's going on here? The locals even were a little perturbed by this whole thing. And they asked the people that were painting. They said, yeah, the local government has told us to do this. And there are photos of the paint they were using. They were just using oil paint. So they painted this entire mountain with oil paint, which is not very environmentally friendly, I'll tell you that much. But it doesn't stop there. Mining companies and tourist areas around China started to do the same thing to improve the environment, because there was this mandate from the government. Hey, we have to be environmentally friendly. We have to rejuvenate the environment. So what do? Well, yeah, paint the rocks in your quarry green so that when the environmental inspectors come around or drive past, they think that there's lush greenery there and they're not going to question the fact that you're just destroying the entire area. That's one example. Paint the mountains green in the scenic tourist area to make it look better and more appealing. It's absolutely ridiculous. But now, of course, they've realized that using oil-based paints and spray paints on mountains is not a good idea. So why not just roll out, for lack of a better word, camo net? You see, there are rules and regulations in China. There are rules these days pretty strict about not destroying the environment. But rather than follow the rules, shortcuts are taken. In other words, rolling out this camo net on the quarry or the mountain that you've destroyed and stripped of all of its natural foliage and so on and so forth. Rather than following the rules and affecting your bottom line, just pay for some cheap camo netting that can be strewn over the cliff or over the mountain or the quarry. When your environmental efforts fail and your town is looking a bit ratty because all of the grass died or the trees are dead, well, staple leaves onto the trees, paint the grass green, and guess what? It looks like you've achieved your target. It looks like you're doing good stuff for the environment. And the reason I'm even talking about this ridiculous practice in China, because it is ridiculous. Anyone who looks at this will say, seriously? Seriously? You're painting the grass and the trees green? You're stapling leaves to trees? You're painting your mountains green or rolling tarp or whatever camouflage netting over your mountains in order to make it look as if they're green? You got to be kidding me, right? This is stupid. This is ridiculous. But in China, that's how things are done. That's why you see these ridiculous numbers coming out of China when it comes to the COVID deaths, where they claim that only a small amount of people died from COVID. Of course, it's not true. The GDP numbers that come out of China, these big mega projects that have got to do with green energy and technology and, cloud-based internet and all that, 5G. You see these impressive numbers. You see these impressive facades. You see these flashy cities. You see this flashy infrastructure. But you know what? It's just like painting the grass and the trees and the mountains green. It's put out there so that people think it's one thing, where in fact it simply isn't true. It is a harsh reality, and something that I've witnessed with my own eyes, the irreparable damage that has been done to the environment in China, within the borders of China. Whether this has just been through exploitative logging, mining, factory runoff, poisoning of the ground and the water. In fact, you cannot drink the water in China. It's all contaminated. The soil is mostly contaminated. It's a very bad situation as far as the environment's concerned. The lack of wildlife, the devastation that was wreaked on China. It's a big, big deal. And unfortunately, spraying chemicals onto grass and spraying and painting oil paints onto the mountains and whatever else is not going to help nature recover. What China needs is it needs a little bit of honesty. It really does. It needs the local governments to actually just sit back and admit that they have a problem and learn how to deal with it properly. Not always take shortcuts, not always try to cover things up, not always be about face. But I don't see this changing anytime soon, unfortunately. I just once again want to use this whole painting the grass and the mountains and the trees and whatever else green as a warning and a little bit of insight into how the Chinese government works. When you see these glistening propaganda videos coming out of China, And it doesn't matter what topic they're covering, whether it's an infrastructure thing or a raising the people out of poverty thing or a investment thing or whatever. Remember, it's just a shortcut. It is just a face job. It is just them painting the grass green. Until next time, guys, unlike painted grass and painted mountains, stay awesome.